Right, so today is Tuesday the 15th of April, and only 2 days ago it was the Virgin Money London Marathon, and thousands of people ran the marathon, but probably even more of you were sat at home watching it on telly, and you've all sat there and said to yourself, I'd love to do the London Marathon, I really want to do it. But there's so many rumours out there that, oh, it's impossible to get into the London Marathon. Well, actually it's not, and this video is about how you can get into the London Marathon and actually live that dream of racing it, because it's a fantastic race. I've done it twice myself, and it's an absolutely amazing experience. So if you have personally sat there and said, I'd love to do the London Marathon, this is the time to get entered. So I'm going to talk you through the ways you can get in the London Marathon. So the first way, and it's the easiest and simplest way, is to enter the ballot. So if you want to get into the London Marathon for 2015, next year, you must enter the public ballot. Now, the public ballot opens on the 22nd of April 2014. You're going to have to get up early in the morning and start logging on to the London Marathon website. I'll put a link, if I can find a link, I'll put it below for you to get to the ballot. Now, you need to get on there and try and enter your information. It gets really busy. Loads of people are obviously trying to get on at the same time as soon as this ballot opens, and everyone wants to get in. So have patience. You must just refresh the page using the F5 key, and eventually you'll get the page and you just fill in your personal information. Once you've filled it in, you send it off. Now, there's two options on there about the entry fee. The first option is, do you want to donate your entry fee? If you say yes to this, that means even if you don't get in, you've still got to pay the £50 or whatever it is entry fee. So if you can afford to lose that money and donate it to charity, absolutely go for it. But if you can't, then I would recommend that you don't, because if you don't get in, why are you going to want to pay? There is a myth out there that if you donate that entry fee, you're more likely to get picked out of the ballot because you've been generous. Well, I've seen no evidence of that myself. I know loads of other runners, and we all enter the ballot every year, and I know some do donate, some don't, and I've never seen anyone get extra preference through donating their entry fee. But it is a good thing to do, obviously, donate to charity, so if you want to do it, then go for it. So you enter the ballot April the 22nd, and then you've got to sit back and wait until October of 2014. And then in October, you'll get one of two magazines land on your doormat through the post. The first magazine, which is the great one to get, is the one to tell you you've been accepted. And if you do get that magazine, brilliant, you're in. If, however, you get the rejected toll commiserations type of magazine, which usually lands on people's doormats, then most people get really disappointed. And this is the point where people say, well, that's it, I'm not in for another year, I've tried again and I've been rejected and I'm not going to get in the London Marathon, and they leave it there. And that's why you get a lot of people saying you can't get in, because it is hard to get in the public ballot. There's only so many places available. A certain amount of places are given to charities or bought by charities. A certain amount are given to elite runners. A certain amount are given to other categories, which I'll go on to in a minute, which is fast for age and championship places. There'll be a certain amount given away to competitions, so that the sponsors like, say, LucasAid can give away a place in the London Marathon as part of a competition. A certain amount go to celebrities, and then there's only a certain portion left for the ballot, so demand far exceeds supply in the ballot. So that it is a slim chance of getting in, but you've got to be in it to win it. If you don't get in, then your next best option for most people is called a gold bond place or a charity place. Now, when you get your commiserations magazine, inside there's loads of information about all the charities out there that do have a place in the London Marathon. Of course, they're willing to give that place to you if you commit to raise a certain amount of money for them. And the amount varies, really. I've seen 2014, I think the lowest I saw was £1,300. The common thing is around £2,000. Some of them say, oh, it's 2015, so raise us £2,015. Others go up higher. I've seen 3,000 before. So you've got to commit to raising that money. What you've got to be prepared to do is to sign up to that. And also, a lot of them now, because they're giving you that place, it says that if you don't raise that money by a certain date, you are personally responsible to make up the difference. So if it's say £3,000 and you've raised 2,500, you've got to find £500. So it becomes a bit of a sort of pay £3,000 to run the marathon or pay £2,000 to run the marathon, but it is a viable way of getting in. I'm not going to go into how to fundraise now. I'm going to do a separate video on fundraising. So if you are going in via a charity place, watch that video as well, and I'll give you my top tips there on how to fundraise, because I have done that myself. If you don't really fancy the charity option because it's a big time commitment, the marathon, you're putting in a massive time commitment anyway to train for it. If you've then also got to put in a massive time commitment to raise money, which can be sitting in a Tesco's with a bucket for 8 hours on your day off of work or something. It's a big time commitment, and it's hard with family life, work life, balancing it all, so it might not be for you. There is a website, Crunch, which stands for the Charity Runners Network or something like that. I'm going to stick up a link to Crunch because some of the bigger charities, I'll just pick a few names: Breakthrough Breast Cancer, Cancer Research UK, Macmillan Nurses. You've probably heard of these charities because they're well known, they're well advertised. If you go for a charity like that, you're going to have to commit to raise more money. On the Crunch website, the Crunch handle the charity places for lots of the smaller charities who perhaps don't have enough funding to do their own charity runner department. They use Crunch, and you're going to get lots of smaller charities on there. You may not have heard of these, but the NCBS, the National Children's Blind Society, Victor, Visually Impaired Children Taking Action. These are smaller charities, and if they get their places on the Crunch website, you can find them there, and they're the ones there you've got to commit to a lower amount to raise your money. I'm going to put a link to that website for you so you can look at that. There's plenty of competitions out there to win a place in the London Marathon. What I'd recommend is you go onto the website, the London Marathon website, and you look at who are the sponsors this year. Adidas, Lucasade, the water sponsor, whichever one they're using this year. You know, there's always sponsors, and those sponsors will have their own places given to them to give away in competitions. Like London Pride, for example, they're a big marathon sponsor. You go on the London Pride website, London Pride Facebook page, or their Twitter, or their Instagram, and all these things, and they have all these different competitions for you to win a place. Obviously, the chances of getting a place in a contest are quite slim. Again, it's probably worse than the ballot because everyone who's left from the ballot is trying to scrap over these places and win these contests, but it's another chance to get one. Also, Park Run UK, they are sponsored by Adidas, Adidas also sponsor the marathon. So if you take part in Park Run, always they have a contest of some description to win places in the London Marathon. So it's worth signing up to do park runs, and I think you have to participate in a few to be entered into their competition. So keep an eye out for that. There's another route for you. So competitions, that's your third way of getting into the London Marathon. Your fourth one, and this is where it gets a bit harder because you've obviously got to run quicker, but you can qualify to get in the London Marathon on what's known as a good for age place. Now, usually you have to have completed a good for age application on the London Marathon website by July of 2014 to get into the 2015 race. The exact dates are not released yet, so I can't give you those, but I'll give you a link again below which will show you how to get to that page on the website to do a good for age application. Now, I'm just going to have to quickly check the times on my phone here because I don't know them off by heart, but these are the sort of times you've got to be running, okay? If you're aged 18 to 40 and you're male, sub 3:05, 3 hours 5 minutes. Or if you're female in that age category, sub 3:45. If you're aged 41 to 49, you've got to go sub 3:15 for a man and sub 3:50 for a lady. If you're aged 50 to 59, it's sub 3:20 for a man, sub 4 hours for a lady. 60 to 64, you're looking at sub 3:45 for a man, sub 4:30 for a lady. 65 to 69, it's sub 4 for a man and sub 5 for a lady. 70 to 75, and if you're still running marathons at that age, fair play to you. I mean, you deserve a place just for that because it's not easy doing it now, and I'm only 30. So sub 5 at the age 70 to 75 for a man, and sub 6 for a lady. And then if you're over 76, it's sub 5.5 hours for a man, sub 6.5 for a lady. So as you can see, those times are quick. I mean, to be fair, 3 hours 5 is, for a man at my age, is fast. I've never got anywhere close to that. So for me, this good for age option, it isn't an option for me. But you might be faster, it might be an option for you. So that's your fourth way of getting a place in the London Marathon. Just to clarify on the good for age places, you don't have to have run your good for age qualifying time in the London Marathon. You could run that in any marathon. So you could enter, I don't know, the Blackpool Marathon, the Manchester Marathon, the Edinburgh Marathon, the list goes on. You just do one of those races where there's none of this ballot business. You just pay an entry fee and race, get your time. Great, you've now qualified with your time. You can send a link to those results from that race to the London Marathon as part of your Good for Age application. Similarly, there are championship places. Now, this is quite similar to Good for Age, but quite simply, you've got to go faster than the times I've just said to get in the championship place. If you're in the championship, you're going to be right up the front, starting behind the elite runners. So I've given you the times for the Good for Age. If you don't think you can achieve those, you're not going to achieve the championship places. But again, I'll try and put a link below for the championship times. Another way to get into the London Marathon is a club entry, a club place. So if you're not a member of a running club or an athletics club, you're missing out on this opportunity to get into the London Marathon. Look around at your local running and athletics clubs and you might find that the entry fees, the membership fees are quite low. And you can join these clubs. Not only will you get all the benefits of being a running club or an athletic club member, you know, you'll get to train, you'll get to meet new people, runners, other runners who have got similar interests, make friends, you'll undoubtedly become a better runner, but you're also getting another chance to get into the London Marathon, because each athletics club in the country is allocated a certain amount of places in the London Marathon, and they base it, I think, on how many adult athletes they have in their club. So the more athletes in the club, the more places the club get. But I suppose, you know, on proportion, it's the same amount of places per runner. So if you don't get in the ballot and you can't get a fast for age place, then you can obviously go into the internal ballot within your club for your club place. I mean, at my club, quite a lot of the athletes are much faster than me, and they all do get good for age places. Some of them get championship places, and I've even got one elite runner there who starts on the start line with all the other people like Mo Farah. So all those guys, they're in the London Marathon. That actually means there's more chance of me getting a club place because there's less slower athletes. So it's another way to get in. So join a running club. As it stands, I say I've done 2 marathons. I did 2012 and 2013 at London. I missed 2014 because my partner was not happy with me spending the amount of time training and raising money and all this stuff. So I've had a year off, but I'm going to personally be on the ballot on the 22nd of April, looking to get myself into the London Marathon again for 2015. So I hope you found this video helpful, and I hope this really kind of re-inspires you to apply for the London Marathon, because it's not impossible to get into. I mean, I've personally had 1 charity place and 1 club place. I've never had a ballot place, I've never been fast enough for good for age, but I've used 2 different ways to get in. I also am going to touch on overseas entries. I don't know much about overseas entries because I don't live overseas, but there's a certain amount of places in the London Marathon that are reserved solely for overseas runners. If you live overseas, you don't live in the UK, you need to look into this for your way of getting into the London Marathon. I have heard stories of people who do live in the UK. They might not have got in through all the places I've said about, and the only way left is overseas, and they might have relatives that live overseas, so they've gone to the extremes of flying to, I don't know, Denmark, where they've got relatives and they can stake a claim to an address in Denmark and pretend that they live there. But when you go to the London Marathon Expo to collect your number, you've got to provide some evidence that you've come from overseas, such as a plane ticket. So they fly out, they fly back just to go to the expo with their plane ticket and say, yeah, I've come from overseas, can I have a place? It's not strictly the right way to do it, really, and it shouldn't be done, but it's something that some people do. And the other way, of course, is to buy someone else's number. You get lots of runners who get injured or ill, and they don't. If that happens, you can defer your number. So you can say you're in the 2015 London Marathon and you're injured. Rather than go to the expo and collect your number, you can defer it and run it the following year in 2016. So there's no reason why you can't defer your number. But some people choose to still go and collect it and then flog it on eBay, because last minute, there are people out there prepared to pay a lot of money to get in the London Marathon because they haven't got in through all these other methods and they've tried and failed. And you can buy numbers on eBay. Again, I don't recommend this, because imagine if something happened to you whilst you were running. God forbid that you died, it does happen. So you're wearing someone else's number, something happens to you, you become unwell. The London Marathon don't have your details, they have the details of the person you bought it from. So they then ring their family and tell them that their loved one is unfortunately gone to hospital because they've collapsed in the London Marathon. Well, they might not know that this person's not running anymore, they might not know they've sold their number, and they might panic and think, blooming hell, they're in hospital. So you can cause no end of problems. On the flip side, something has happened to you, no one's going to inform your relatives because you're unconscious and no one knows who you are because you're wearing someone else's number. It creates loads of problems. Don't do it. Don't buy numbers on eBay. Don't sell your numbers. There's always next year to get in the London Marathon if you don't get in this year. It comes back every year. You can always keep trying to get in. So please keep trying, use the methods I've said. And if you've really found this video helpful and it's going to help you get into the London Marathon, always a big part of the London Marathon is charity. I'm personally always fundraising. I'm going to put a link to my fundraising page below. And if you find that you've found this video helpful and you'd like to make a donation to my fundraising page, please do so. It'd be gratefully received. No donation's too big or too small, and it'd really help me continue to do my charity places in the events that I do. So thank you very much for watching, and good luck getting into the London Marathon. I look forward to seeing you on the start line of 2015.